and that this meeting has been duly called, and that a notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. On March 16, 2020, Governor Greg Abbott granted a request by Attorney General Ken Paxton to temporarily suspend a limited number of open meeting laws to the extent necessary to allow telephonic and video conferencing meetings in response to the coronavirus, COVID-19. In accordance with these suspended rules, we certify the following. Notice of this meeting has been posted online for at least 72 hours. Although members of the board are not gathered in a central physical location, we do have a quorum in attendance at this meeting via video conference or telephone call. I will do a roll call to identify the members that are present. Board members, when I call your name, please reply by responding present. Kelly C. Katz. Kelly C. Katz, you're on mute.
Present.
Present, all right. Molly McClure. You're on mute as well. There you go. Present. Chris Dillon.
Present.
James Allen.
Present.
Secretary Billy Moore.
Present.
Vice President Matthew Mix.
Present.
And Ashley Muchink, present. We are meeting by the use of Google handheld software application. Members of the public can watch the meeting via a live stream of this meeting following a link on the district's website. For members of the public who have followed the instructions on the meeting notice and have submitted written comments in advance, the board secretary will read the comments into the record during the public comments portion of the meeting. If you would like to provide comments at a future meeting conducted by video conference and phone call, please follow instructions on the meeting notice. All our meeting procedures will adhere to board adopted procedures to the extent practicable. An audio recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. This software application allows for 100,000 people to view at one time. We apologize in advance for any unforeseeable difficulties and ask for your patience as we navigate unprecedented conditions. If you have any questions about these suspended laws, please call the Office of the Attorney General. At this time, Dr. Lee, will you please lead us in our pledges and a word of prayer?
Absolutely. Thank you. Please join me in the pledge to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. It is now my pleasure to introduce Cody Whitfield, the lead pastor of River Valley.
Good evening. Let's pray together. Father, I thank you for the way that you have guided our administration, our teachers, our faculty, school district during this time. God, we acknowledge your hand that you have brought us even through difficulty, blessings beyond what we could ever ask for. We thank you for that. God, as we prepare for a new school year in unprecedented times and unknowing, we rely on you for wisdom. God, we rely on you for strength and endurance that we may not get through, but we may thrive and excel in this next year academically. God, I pray for boldness and I pray for clarity. We thank you for those who are gathered here tonight who've been so diligent in providing for our students in this county. We love you, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Pastor Cody, thank you very much. And Dr. Lee, we really appreciate being on this call here this evening. It always means a lot, and we really do appreciate it. At this time, Mr. Edwards, would you like to introduce our student speaker for this evening?
Yes, sir. It would be my pleasure. This evening, I have the pleasure of introducing you to Gabriel better known as Paloma Serna. She's a Circa senior. Gabrielle, or Paloma as she goes by, is a senior at the Colorado River Collegiate Academy, and tonight she's going to be speaking to us about honor. Paloma was the president of the student council and is an active member of NHS. She enjoys volunteering at school, community events, and drawing and helping others. Her parents are Carmen and Paul Serna. Thank you, Paloma, for joining us.
All right. Good evening for having me here to speak today. I was invited here to talk about the character trait honor. Honor is defined as a high respect, a strong moral code, and prestige. Honor plays a significant role in our society. For example, we have an award that we give military personnel in the United States called the Medal of Honor. It is the highest award that people in the military can receive for acts of bravery and valor. Society also relies on honor in the justice system in a courtroom when witnesses swear under oath. Honor also encourages people to take action for said justice through protests and petitions. It also plays a significant role in education. We use honor in titles such as honor roll and graduating with honors. We rely on people's honor when students sign waivers to take exams. High schools even have an organization to recognize students' achievements and leadership built on the trait honor. This organization is the National Honor Society, which I am fortunate to be a part of. Honor is an important character trait to NHS because honor relates to the 4 pillars of NHS. The 4 pillars are scholarship, leadership, service, and character. I believe that honor relates to each of these pillars. Honor teaches students about themselves on the path of education. Honor helps create better leaders. It also helps others to serve. Honor reflects your character and who you are. In other words, without the concept honor, people would be unable to trust each other and wouldn't have common respect to others. This would alter how society thinks, which leads me to a quote that author Robin Sharma once said: "Without integrity and honor, having everything means nothing." I believe he was saying that honor is important to a person's character, because without it, people would lose faith in themselves and others as well. Honor is an important character trait because it continues to help students in their futures. As stated earlier, this trait helps make a better leader because having honor gains
Mr. Edwards, I think we may have lost the young lady there. It was a great message.
Yes, it certainly was. And no pun intended, it was an honor to have her on, and we appreciate her efforts in preparing that for us and teaching us a little bit about this character trait regarding honor. At this time, Mr. Muchnik, if allowed, I'd like to move into the special recognitions. We have a very special group that we recognize as our Community Partner of the Year here in the Bastrop Independent School District. I'm going to ask Dr. Lee if she would do the honors.
Absolutely. We look forward to doing this in person every year when we recognize our Community Partner of the Year. So this is feels a little different as we've learned in this virtual environment, but it doesn't diminish the impact of this award and what this organization has done for the school district, for our teachers, and for our students. So I'm pleased to recognize the Bastrop Chamber of Commerce as our Community Partner of the Year. I want to tell you just a little bit about them. They, of course, have the We Believe in BISD initiative, but they have also provided guest readers. They have arranged for career day speakers. They have served as science fair judges. And when I say they, I mean they actively solicit volunteers and business people and business owners and civic leaders to come into our school system and to serve in these very important roles. This past fall, you may remember the Crosstown Showdown, which they hosted, and then we would have had Lemonade Day, but of course, COVID. And so we didn't have that. So at this time, I would like for us all to give a virtual round of applause for the Bastrop Chamber of Commerce. And tonight with us, we have Becky Womble, who's the president and CEO of the Bastrop Chamber, and Derek Brown, who is the committee chair for the Education Committee. So round of applause. And Mr. Edwards, I would like to invite, if either of them would like to say something for accepting the award, we would love to hear that.
Please, Becky or Derek, please feel free. Before you get started, we cannot thank you enough for all that you do. We can always count on you. There's nothing like many of us get to go on those We Believe visits, which is a highlight for all of us. And so it's such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for all that you do. And if you'd like to share a couple of words, we'd love to hear from you.
I'll just start, but I want to obviously recognize Derek as well. But we just thank you for what you do. We just value you guys as community partners. I know it's been a tough end of the school year. I know as a parent of a 2020 graduate, it was difficult, and you guys really made the end of the year special for our graduating seniors. So I want to give kudos, especially to Christy Lee and her crew, and just everything that you did in a situation that you could not plan for. And that's what community partners do, and that's how they supported each other. But several of the things that Christy mentioned this year were the brainchild of Derek Brown. So I really would like to recognize Derek as the chair of our education committee, because I feel like he really took this committee to the next level. So I'd like to give Derek an opportunity to say a few words.
Well, I did not expect to speak tonight. So I am just so grateful to be able to be a part of this and to be a part of the BISD folks and what we are able to do. And we just want to continue to support our school district and continue to support our businesses and have both our businesses and our school system be able to work together. So I just appreciate the chance that you guys give us to be able to do that. So thank you.
Thank you, Derek. And this is Ashley Muchink. On behalf of the Board of Trustees and Becky, we want to thank you and thank the Chamber of Commerce. Please pass that on to your Board of Directors. I know for over 20 years that I've been here in the community, the Chamber's really been a great supporter of the district and a lot of things that we're trying to accomplish and how we're trying to move the district forward. So thank you again. It's been a great partnership and really look forward to working in the future. All right, at this time, we'll move into our public comments. Mr. Edwards, was there anything else under the special recognition?
No, sir, that concludes our special recognition.
All right, fantastic. Ms. Barrientos, do we have any public comments?
No, sir, none were received.
All right, well, thank you. And thank you for working distantly with the board and with Mr. Edwards. We really appreciate it and hope you're staying safe. At this time, we'll move into our public hearing on proposed application for an optional flexible school day program for 2020 to 2021. Presenter is Dr. Oliveris.
Good evening, Mr. Muchink, board members, members of our community, and public. Today, I bring to you a public hearing on our optional flexible school day program, better known as OFSDP. Every year, per Texas Education Code, Chapter 29.0822, the district is required to bring to you and to submit an application to the Texas Education Agency for the district's OFSDP, and to hold this public hearing that we're holding tonight to review the performance of our OFSDP campus, which for us here in Bastrop ISD is Genesis Alternative High School. So because this is a public hearing, we do ask that if the public has any questions or comments that they would like to make regarding this evening's presentation, that those be emailed to Nancy Barrientos at annbarrientos@bisdtx.org. So let's get started. What is an OFSDP? So the goal of our OFSDP is simply to improve graduation rates by reducing dropouts. Genesis Alternative High School serves as BISD's OFSDP. Every year, an annual application is required to the agency to maintain our OFSDP status, which allows our students to have flexible hours and days of attendance, which is really important for our students who require that service. So as part of our process, we are required to hold this annual hearing to review our performance from last year. So I have some information for you on that, and to hold this hearing to talk about the proposed application for next year. So kind of what's going into the application process, all under our Texas Education Code Chapter 29 statute. So here is our performance for this 2019-2020 school year. We had 214 students enrolled. This is the data that the Texas Education Agency asked us to prepare and to submit. Those 214 students earned a total of 865.5 credits. We had this year a record number of graduates, which we're very proud of. We had 144 graduates, and I do want to take a moment to recognize Mr. Martin Conradi, Ms. Sean Adams, and the staff of our Genesis High School, because they did so much this year, including through our weeks of COVID-related closures. So very proud of that number of graduates. We did have 30 students who were withdrawn. This could be to other school districts. We had 40 students return to comprehensive high school. We had 19 students transfer out. We had 11 dropouts and 0 incarcerated students. So this is the reportable data made available for public hearing for our student performance this past year at Genesis. Some points of pride that I wanted to go through since I've been bringing you this report. I always want to look to see how did we do compared to last year. So we did have an increase of 9% of students enrolled over the 2018-2019 school year. That's good because we have to give credit to our counselors and our comprehensive high school administrative teams. They do a good job of finding students who are at risk for whom this program might be a real applicable option. So we had that increase in student enrollment. We had 15% increase in total credits earned over the previous year. So that's really good too. We had an 18% increase in the total number of graduates over the previous year and an 18% decrease in the number of dropouts. So I believe the program is doing what it's intended to do. So that was your data portion, reportable in the public hearing. Let's talk about what the application for next year is going to entail. So for our proposed application for next year, a kiddo is eligible to participate in OFSDP if they meet one of the conditions. They have to be at risk of dropping out of school. The student, as a result of attendance, will be denied credit for one or more classes. The student is attending a school with an approved early college program, or they're attending a school implementing an approved innovative campus plan, or we have a community-based dropout prevention program. We have to identify to the public and to TEA our local procedures for identifying our students. So for us in Bastrop, that means we have students submit a written application and secure parental permission if they're under the age of 18. If they're 18 or over, they may enroll themselves. They have to meet with their assigned counselor and administrator to discuss how things work and function at Genesis and the hours of flexibility and their schedule. They must be identified as at risk as defined by statute, or will be denied credit for one or more classes. And once we do all of that and we know that a student meets criteria and they're interested, there is a meeting that's held with our OFSDP campus counselor and principal to analyze the student's transcript and admit them to the program. So let's tell you a little bit about our Genesis staff. We have 7.5 teachers, which includes core, CTE, and special education services, which we provide along with English language support. We have a shared counselor, a shared nurse, and a shared administrative team with our CIRCA, our Colorado River Collegiate Academy. So we share some of that staff. 6 out of 7 of our teachers are ESL endorsed, which is important for those sheltered instructional strategies for our English learners. And then our kiddos receive support as they needed, whether it's through special education programming, English language support, counseling for college and career planning, and also pregnancy-related services as needed. We are required to post our schedule. So here are both our day and after school hours for the program. And then our goals, of course, is to have 100% of our enrolled students stay with us or return to their regular high school program and ultimately not drop out of school. And then we also want to make sure that we see some gains in their student performance on state assessments. So a couple of commitments that we have to make every year to the Texas Education Agency when we apply for OFSDP status. We have to agree to administer STAR assessments. We have to agree to provide instruction at their correct grade level and through the correct course sequence. We have to ensure that the students are not isolated from any other opportunities like academic and vocational programming that other kiddos have access to. We have to provide highly qualified staff for the students, and we have to adopt a policy that also holds them accountable for their attendance along with all of our other students in the district. We also have to comply with reporting requirements by TA statute, and we also have to prohibit a student participating in OFSDP from participating in any UIL activity unless the student meets all of those eligibilities per statute. Our campus, Genesis High School, also has to agree not to discriminate based on disability, race, color, national origin, religion, or sex when they are considering student applications to the campus. And also please note that Genesis staff tracks actively any dropouts and pursues recovery efforts. So we work very closely with our truancy officers and with our community liaisons. Additionally, we want to make the public aware that all Genesis Alternative High School students participated in OFSDP for this school year that just concluded, the 2019-2020 school year, and that we've elected once again to have Genesis Alternative High School be our BISD OFSDP campus for 2020-2021 school year. So at this time, I will pause to hear if there are any questions from our public.
There were no questions.
Okay, fantastic. So I'll carry on. With that, board, if you don't have any questions for me, I want to recommend that the board approve the request to submit an application on behalf of BISD for Optional Flexible School Day Program, or OFSDP, for the 2020-2021 school year.
Mr. Muchink, Mr. Edwards, can I just add a comment to Ms. Oliveris' presentation there? I had the honor and the privilege of representing the board at the Genesis graduation this year, and it was such a joy to see the pride on those kids as they crossed the stage and earned their diploma. And we had such a great opportunity to recognize them and all their hard work and what was a record-breaking year for the number of graduates from Genesis High School. And with that, I would recommend that the board approve the request to submit an application for the Optional Flexible School Day Program for the 2020-2021 school year.
Okay, we do have a motion from Trustee Dillon. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a second by Molly
McClure.
McClure. Is there any further discussion from the board? At this time, I'll do a roll call. Please say in favor or against. Kelly Seacats. Kelly, are you with us? We'll come back to Ms. Seacats. Ms. McClure?
4.
Mr. Dillon?
4.
Mr. Allen?
4.
Mr. Moore?
4.
Dr. Mix?
4.
Mr. Muchink? 4. And we'll try Ms. Seacats one more time. All right, at this time, it looks like motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Oliveris, and definitely want to echo the same message that Mr. Dillon expressed, there's a lot of great things going on over there. So that's exciting. At this time, we'll move into the yes, ma'am. We'll move into the superintendent's report and board discussion. Looks like that the curriculum report and the financial report and the administrative services and human resource department report are all for information only. As we move along to the operations, police departments and communications and community relations report, there will be no report for this month. This will move us into our consent agenda. Would any board member like to pull any consent agenda item for discussion? All right. If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
This is Billy Moore. I so move.
We have a motion by Billy Moore. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Dr. Mix. This time we'll do roll call. Please say for or against. Ms. Seacatz.
For.
Ms. McClure.
For.
Mr. Dillon.
4.
Mr. Allen.
4.
Mr. Moore.
4.
Dr. Mix.
4.
And Mr. Muchink. 4. Motion carries. All right, this time we'll move into our action items. We will consider approval for COVID-19 related waivers, alternate K and or 7th grade reading instruments requirement, reading instruments guidance, and parent notice requirements for students for at risk of failure. Back on the stage, or I should say on the screen here tonight for us, is our presenter, Dr. Oliveira.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Muchink. Yes, try saying that 5 times, right? These COVID-related waivers are amazingly riveting once again, and I have 2 new ones to bring to you, so thank you for your consideration. Today we'll consider a waiver for an alternate kindergarten reading instrument assessment, and then also a notice requirement for students at risk of failure. So beginning with the first one, our Texas Education Code Statute, Chapter 28.006B actually requires for the commissioner to adopt these assessment tools, which are reading instruments that we then use to test kiddos' developmental skills, including literacy, to diagnose their reading development and comprehension. And so this year, the commissioner has adopted Texas KIA through the CLI assessment system, and they also adopted an alternative assessment named M-Class, which is Texas Edition Amplify. So basically, these are reading instruments, and we have an option of those 2. And according to statute, we were supposed to begin using these instruments next school year in the 2020-2021 school year. However, because of COVID-related disruptions and the uncertainty related to how we return back next year, the district is eligible for a waiver in order to continue to use the instruments that we currently have. And we would like to avail ourselves of that waiver option at this time. So BISD, we currently use what is called the TPRI instrument, and board the assessment instruments all have varying features, but they all assess the same skills. And so we are wanting to request this waiver so that we can continue using the TPRI for next year. We are not requesting for us to use the newly selected 7th grade reading instrument because we're already using it, so we don't need a waiver for that. The second waiver that we have is basically a requirement that we notify parents when their kiddos are at risk of not passing the STAR exam at the 5th and 8th grade level. So we send them a notice when their kiddos are in 4th grade and 7th grade, basically saying, your student is academically struggling a little bit. Next year, they're going to take this STAR exam, and that STAR exam is needed or required for grade advancement. And so we give them that parental notice of being at risk. And so because we did not have STAR assessments this year, we are eligible for a waiver, and we can delay that notification to parents until the start of next school year. So we would like to avail ourselves of that option as well. So I will pause for any questions at this time from the board.
Do we have any questions from the board? All right, this time I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the following COVID-19 related waivers as presented. Alternate K and/or 7th grade reading instruments requirement and parent notice requirement for students at risk of failure.
All right, we have a motion from Dr. Mix. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Trustee James Allen. At this time, I will do a roll call. Please say for or against. Ms. Seacats.
For.
Ms. McClure.
Four.
Mr. Moore.
4.
Mr. Allen.
4.
Mr. Dillon.
4.
Dr. Mix.
4.
Mr. Muchink. 4. At this time, motion carries. Thank you again, Dr. Oliveris.
Thank you, board.
All right. Our next agenda item will be consider approval of a resolution for government obligation contract between All American Investment Group, LLC, and Bastrop ISD for purchase of portable classrooms. With us tonight, we have our CFO, Ms. Sandra Callahan.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, this is a document that you've seen in the past when we've had when we purchase our portables and we've leased them for 5 years. And so the document has a resolution that requires the board's approval and signature. So this is again for our 4 portables, and I recommend the board approve the resolution for government obligations contract between All American Investment Group and Bastrop ISD for the purchase of portable classrooms.
Any questions from the board? I know, Mr. Allen, you'd love to make this motion. All right, at this time, I, Ashley Muchink, move to approve the financing contract and resolution with All American Instrument Group for the purchase of portable classrooms. Do we have a second?
Billy Moore, a second.
All right, we have a second. I will now do roll call. This will either be for or against. Ms. Seacats.
4.
Ms. McClure.
4.
Mr. Dillon.
4.
Mr. Allen.
I'm a team player. 4.
Mr. Moore.
4.
Dr. Mix.
4.
And Mr. Muchink, that will be 4. All right. Moving on to our information items. It looks like the board calendar and enrollment and the TEAC 44.03331 purchasing cooperative fee report and the 2021 Bastrop Central Appraisal District proposed budget and the CH local single budget purchase of $50,000 and more are for informational only, as well as the 2020-2021 school board meeting dates. Just a little housekeeping right quick. Ms. Seacats, we were unable to hear you from technical difficulties on the motion in regards to submitting the application for the occupational flexible school day programs. Any comments now that you?
No, and I was for that.
Okay, perfect. We will note that in our meeting minutes, and we do appreciate that. Also, we will be having a July board meeting. Is that correct, Mr. Edwards?
That is correct, Mr. Muchnik. With the start of the school year and some of the uncertainty and planning taking place, we'd like to have a meeting to prepare and inform the board and the community about our plans.
Fantastic. Are there any other comments from any other board members? I was
just one, Ashley. I just want to second what Chris was saying about the graduations. I was able to attend Bastrop's graduation and Cedar Creek's graduation, and the discipline of the children was amazing. Both principals did an extremely good job. Terrell Owen, he did not Terrell Owens, but Bastrop principal did an unbelievable job starting a chant that he started back in 5th grade with those kids that are now graduating seniors. So it was really awesome. And then Bridget Cornelius did a fantastic job. I just want to talk about the discipline of those kids that stayed in their seat, threw the hats when they were supposed to throw the hats, etc. It was just really good. So I want to applaud the administration that took part in that and really recognize not only our interim principal, but our current principal at Cedar Creek High School.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. I'd also like to note that Mr. Edwards and I visited last week and just want to express a thank you to the cabinet and all the administration for your hard work. I know that you're working on Fridays and you're probably not supposed to be working on Fridays, and we're just in some very unique times, and I know y'all are putting in a lot more hours, and it's extremely noticeable because as I get questions from the public or I have thoughts and ideas from other board members, when I call Mr. Edwards, y'all seem to be on it, and you're very open to any of our suggestions or thoughts that we have. So thank you for your hard work and dedication. It really means a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Muchnick. On behalf of all of the cabinet and our administrators, we're proud of the work we've done, and we'll continue to strive to do everything that we can. And we appreciate y'all's support. And as far as the graduations, I would just like to echo how incredibly well planned, and the students were just outstanding. It was as close to normal as anything we've experienced in quite some time. So again, thank you all for your support.
Fantastic. Any other comments from the board?
Yeah, one quick question with regards to graduations. I know that they were virtual, and I heard some great, that doesn't always go well, as you can see from our board meeting today. But there's some great responses about how they were able to see everything. They could hear everything very clearly. That's all been recorded and is still out there for them to see down the road as well. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is correct. You know, in these planning times, Dr. Mix, you know that we weren't sure we were going to be able to have a live one. So we went ahead and did the virtual as a bonus. You know, once it became clear that we're going to be able to do the in-person graduation, we still went through with the virtual. And I understand, I haven't had the honor of seeing it myself yet, but I understand it was really well done and well received.
It was.
So again, it's just the effort that we're making to try to make this very special for our kids.
And I was able to watch them. And it was so nice to be able to have the streaming since we couldn't all be there. And they were all just incredible, just a lot of pride. And I love the fact that you had the disposable hats. That was great.
Well,
but thank you for everything. I just second everything everyone said.
Yeah, and Mr. Edwards, thank you for picking great leaders. I know Mr. King at Bastrop High School had to jump in and do some things that for one, he didn't get his students back when he jumped in, and two, that type of graduation to Bridget Cornelius, who has always been just fabulous, and Mr. Camaraderie as well. And so for their flexibility. So we got some great leaders there.
Thank you. We are very fortunate, no doubt about it.
All right, any other comments from the board? If there are no other comments, are there any objections to adjourning this meeting? If there are no objections, then meeting's adjourned. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you all.